under captain of the ship, yeah. And it's like a lotus, so it's time to flip the script, yeah. Cruising through the bay on that fucking red battleship, sold up, screaming out, Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard? So Buck, what you heard?
All right, guys, welcome to Buck What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight. You follow me, I'll follow you back. And tonight we will be talking about the bye week. So much to talk about, And I know that there have been other podcasts out there, and there are people out there that are talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what happened versus the Chicago Bears. And it's crazy just seeing, just going back and watching that game was very painful. So just trying to get in here and talk a little bit about it and try to try to make sense of it all. So tonight I am joined by my normal co-host Michael Pless. How are you doing today, Michael?
Oh, I'm doing great, Gene. Glad the Bucs don't have a game this week, so get a little bit away from it and enjoy. So
yeah, there you go. So let's I'm glad it's the bye week. It gives the team a chance to get in there and try to figure out what's going on, what happened, and see if we can't get around and find a way to fix this.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know what that was on Sunday, but the team was like very out prepared. Like I told you before the show, it's like they went in there blind. I mean, that's what it looked like. So I don't know. I didn't have good feelings about this coaching staff going into this season. I thought that was our weakest point. I thought we had the talent to win, but if they could overcome the coaching staff, that was going to be the big question. Like, has this coaching staff learned from their mistakes in the past? And it just doesn't look like it. I mean, they're trying to play in 2002 when it's 2018, as far as from a philosophy standpoint. And like, you can't do that. When you see the Bears and they have pretty much every answer to what the Bucs were going to do on Sunday, that's just not good. That just shows you're not doing a good job of game planning weekly based on what your opponent is doing, like who you're facing. Like they say, it's a week-to-week league. It just doesn't look like they're doing that.
Yeah, and I think that's the part that's the most frustrating for me, is just trying to understand what is the defensive philosophy. They, in the time that they've had this defense implemented, they really haven't had any kind of identity as to what's their defensive philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows. And again, like you were talking about it, it's like they just don't get it.
Yeah.
That's and they didn't look like a professional team. They did not look prepared, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just a bad situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's just like first of all, your defense, like I think it was the first couple drives, like there's multiple offside penalties. I mean, that just shows you like you're not disciplined. Like Trubisky, he's going to try to do a hard count because they struggle moving the ball offensively. So they're going to try to get easy yards. So just stuff like that was frustrating. And then just to like have no resistance whatsoever. Like I think on their first 4 scores, we didn't get them to a third down situation at all. And they ended up going up, 28 to nothing or whatever it was. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, and not only that, it's not like they were doing anything fancy. It was just simple wheel routes, pass to the running back, double moves. Pretty much that's what they were doing. Like they had every cover 3, cover 4 beater that you could think of, and they executed it to perfection. So I don't know. But yeah, I agree with you. Mike Smith is like, he wants to build this defense inside out. But if you don't have the scheme to let your front 4 get to the quarterback, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble because, the quarterback just has all day there to throw. And then, It's just not good. It's like when they blitz, it doesn't work. If they play, front four and just let them go get it, that doesn't work either because you don't have the coverage because guys are getting beat consistently.
You know what really frustrates me is I can go back to the Arizona Cardinals game from last year. I can go
Right.
back to the that game right there. This team looked lost on the field. They looked slow. They looked lethargic. They looked like they didn't know what was going on. And again, who who's going to step up and fix this? They've gotten new players in, but you're still dealing with the same thing. I'm
Hmm.
I'm just like I'm confused by it all. I mean, with the level
Yeah.
of talent that they have, JPP was playing his heart out. Shout out to JPP because this guy, he got out there and got after it. Still trying to boost the team back up, trying to get people back into the game, and it just didn't happen. That
Hmm.
just getting punched in the mouth the way they did, they were just never able to fully recover from that.
Yeah, and then another thing is like your secondary is collected of rookies. Like you have a lot of rookies on the field. You have guys that are already thinking so much out there when they're playing. So they're already going to be like a step behind. Like and then you put them in bad situations when you try to play zone defense. And instead, you should let them just play man, guard who they have to guard and make it easy for these guys. I mean, if they get beat deep, then so be it. I mean, you're already allowing, first down after first down. Just make it simple and let these guys play man to man and attack with your linebackers. Your linebackers can't really cover running backs or tight ends very well, so let them go blitz and do what they do best. So that's just something that frustrates me. They just put a lot on these rookies and try to make them do too much. Instead, you need to simplify it, and that's probably something they're going to do during this bye week, I'm sure. And then they're going to, make the excuse of, oh, well, we did simplify it, but it's still not working, so we're going to try something else. They'll come up with something like that to, sugarcoat it or whatever, have a scapegoat in place. But I don't know. I'm very disappointed with this staff and how they word things around. Even Dirk Cutter looks defeated with his words that he's been saying. So, and
Yeah,
then
this
that's another thing. I'm sorry, Jane. This is my last point. Another thing, the offense was pure trash on Sunday, and that's supposed to be our strength. And they had no idea how to beat the Bears defense when there was obvious weaknesses to take advantage of, and they didn't do anything of that nature.
Yeah, the one thing that I noticed in the first couple of games was you got to see Fitz taking advantage of what the defense was putting in front of him, and I don't know if he was shell shot from the Steelers game or what
Hmm.
happened. Something did not seem right from the Eagles game going into the Steelers game
Hmm.
going to this game, and
Well,
it just looked totally different than the first two games you saw.
yeah, yeah, and to that point, I think teams figured us out already because they had two games on us, and they're like, we're not going to let Fitzpatrick sit back there, so we're going to attack him, and that's what they did. They sent more blitzes, and they got into his face, and you see the result. I mean, when you get pressure on the quarterback, that's what Fitzpatrick becomes, and he starts making erratic throws, and that's why Jameis Winston is your starter because you see the plays that he can make when facing pressure. He finds ways to get out of it, and he can make plays down the field. So that's why he's above a Ryan Fitzpatrick because he's just more talented. But with that being said, I thought the game plan again just wasn't good. Like the Bears front seven is going to get after the quarterback. Then why are you trying to go deep every play? Like there's no reason to go deep on trying to get the big plays here and there. You need to take what is there, and that is the short routes, hit it to your running backs, hit screens, etc. Get them off balance. But there was none of that. There was no reverses to counteract their aggressiveness. I mean,
Yeah.
there was just none of that. Nothing to get them moving east to west.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I did notice. There were no adjustments made at all.
No,
At
no,
all.
and there hasn't been.
Yeah, and this carries back to, since we've had this regime in here, there has been no creativity, no unpredictability, none of that.
Right,
You just
right.
see if they win a game and the defense looks decent, It's because they went out there and they executed like they were supposed to, but they've not been dominating for, for a long time. And
Mm-hmm.
that right there kind of is what really frustrates me, is if something's not working, you don't go back to it. Case in point, the Atlanta Falcons game, Julio Jones torches the Bucs for 250 something yards, I believe.
Right.
And in that game, they did not make any adjustments. This is another example of what I'm talking about. No adjustments made. They can still they ran the same route. He was confused when the guy that's the beneficiary of all these yards is like, yeah, they just kept doing the same thing and I kept taking it. I mean, what do you I I mean, at some point you got to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe I need to rethink this. Maybe there's another way to do this. This self-evaluation thing is too little, too late. But folks, I'm not gonna join the mob mentality. I'm gonna put it like this: Mike Smith is a defensive coordinator right now. Dirk Cutter is the head coach. Jameis Winston is your quarterback. All the other people that you want to talk about that the Bucs didn't draft do not matter at this point because they're not here to help this team. So let's be real here. This team, they all need to look in the mirror and try to figure out what they need to do right now. And that's what needs to happen. There was a lack of discipline in that game. I saw people leaving where they're supposed to be, their assignments. People were leaving their assignments, leaving huge voids for players that normally do not rack up yardage like they do to have a field day. You had Mitchell Trubisky was eating.
Yeah.
All day long.
I mean, you had Isaiah Johnson playing his first game as a starter, and it was obvious he was playing his first game because he was lost. I mean, most of the time he was out of position. And then you had, guys, Carlton Davis, MJ Stewart, all those guys trying to figure this out. And, there's just multiple confusion as far as where they needed to be. And, Chris Fisher, he made the great point of Chris Conte and Vernon Hargreaves being out. And those guys are key because they're the quarterback of the defense. They're good at communicating and letting guys know where they're supposed to be. Yeah, you can rant on Conte all you want. Yeah, he's not that great, but he knows the defense and he knows how to put these guys in the right alignment. And it shows. And the same thing with Vernon Hargreaves, like his ability to talk with these guys and make them feel comfortable out there, that makes a difference. So I don't know how big of that was, but it just wasn't good. Again, they're asking way too much of these guys to be able to, play zone, play man, know where everyone's supposed to be. And they're out there, they're still rookies. They're trying to think so much, like they're already a step behind. And now you put this on them. I mean, you expect what happened. I mean, that's going to happen. There's going to be coverage busts, and that's what went down.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So I guess my next question, just talking about this game again, how do we fix it? How do the Bucs fix all this? And let's start with the most glaring hole, which is the defense. How do you
Well, I mean, you got to hope your talent takes over. I mean, that's pretty much my point. I mean, the talent's going to have to take over and figure it out. Those guys in that locker room are going to have to come together and really just like say, hey, we got to do this, and maybe even revolt a little bit and go against the grain and just say, hey, we're going to play it our way and see what happens. But I don't know. I'm hoping Mike Smith makes it more simple. I think they need to play more man coverage, play more press, allow these guys do what they do best and blitz a little bit more and be aggressive defense. I think it's the time of trying to bend, don't break. I mean, that's pretty much over because it's not working. I mean, you got to be after it, get after these quarterbacks. If you're going to give up the big play, then so be it. You'll give give your offense a chance to score right back. So, just let it be.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. If you're losing, what's wrong with blitzing? What's wrong with this is now situational football. If you're down like they were, I would have been trying blitzes. I would have disguised blitzes, something to just try to get these guys' minds right where they're ready for the next game. They kind of just laid down. I mean, again, it just reminded me so much of the Arizona Cardinals game. However, there wasn't a Ryan Fitzpatrick to come in the second half to, kind of rally everything. So there.
Yeah, and that's a great point. One is, the defensive schemes are dated. I mean, I said it. They're running a scheme that is based on 2002. They're trying to, do these schemes that are just they're figured out. Like offenses know how to beat them, and they just continue to run the same thing. So it's something that has to change. They have to be more modern in today's NFL and adapt to the times. If they don't, then you're going to be in big trouble.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening. And
that's why they should be fired.
And to that point, is there anything that you can come up with in your mind that they're doing right at this point?
I think the best move they made is allowing Todd Monken to be offense coordinator. I think that's good. But again, he's running Dirk Cutter's offense, and it shows at times. It shows that Dirk is kind of, forcing his hand a little bit with the play calling, still trying to go vertical, not setting up the vertical pass. Say it again.
I have to ask you this question. Do you feel like during this, the Dirk Cutter still is trying to take back some of the play calling at this point? Because I saw a run on first down against the Steelers. Wasn't the first play from scrimmage a run? Did they run the ball or something like that against the Steelers? I know. I don't know. It's just it doesn't look like it did the first two games. The offense doesn't. And I have a hard time believing that Monken would just this is his bag of tricks. That's it. I feel like Dirk Cutter still has the last say, and I believe that his influence. You're seeing his influence on this offense the last couple of games. I don't know that to be true, but just the eye test, that's what I'm seeing, and that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I mean that definitely could be the point. I think Cutter probably has his voice in there being heard, and again, it is his offense. This is his scheme, so I think it's just natural progression of what his scheme is about, and that's what they're doing. I'm hoping they don't go back to last year's trends, but unfortunately, that's what it looks like. I mean, you even saw in the quarterback play where Fitzpatrick was still trying to just look deep, trying to get the big plays instead of going through progressions like he did the first 2 weeks, where he was just when he was just attacking the mismatches, going after who had the advantage and getting to the ball to the open guy. And unfortunately, that's gone away. And another thing is the running game. I did like what I saw out of Ronald Jones, but the run game hasn't been good since Lovie Smith left. I mean, and that's not good. That's a bad sign as far as his running game. There's no creativity. There's just nothing there as far as the run game. It's the same plays over and over. We know we're going left, and we know we're running the ball when Anthony Auclair's in there. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and again, that's just one of those things. I want to jump back over to the defense again before we move on. Just watching the linebacker core, and I saw it in the chat. A lot of people are kind of going in on Quan Alexander. You can't do that. He's been in the league long enough to know better. Levante David, same thing. They've both been in the league long enough to know better. Playing your assignment, as long as you're doing your job, you should be fine. And that's what everybody should kind of take that kind of approach, because there is just no way that same play should be working over and over and over again. The defensive coordinator, there has to be something with the defensive coordinator where he identifies this and makes a change. So again, what is it that does he feel like? And just from what you're seeing, do you think he feels like, okay, these are the plays that we have drawn up and these are the plays we're going with? I don't care about anything else. Is that kind of what we're seeing? Or because there's no creativity, and pretty much, it's the same. what did they say? It was predictable.
Yeah.
And and just when you hear that, and then I think back to the game against the Atlanta Falcons, and then the game against the Saints, where the Saints just rolled over the Bucs last year in that first game, it's all the same thing. And again, just those trends that I'm talking about. And like I said, I'm not jumping on that wagon. You know, he's still the defensive coordinator. He's still going to be here. He just has to do a better job.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I think you're right. I think he is just calling what he has in his playbook, and that's what he's rolling with. You know, he's trying to get his guys to execute the defense, but you know, this I've heard too many times like, oh, this is a hard defense. This is like, you know, communication's not there. We're not communicating. This blah blah blah. It's like, come on, guys. Like, you have a whole defensive staff of coaches. You have players that are you know, complaining about it. Like, there has to be a common ground here found where we can have success somehow, some way. Like, there can't be all three levels struggling this bad. It just can't happen. Like, you're professionals. You should be able to be at least a decent defense where you're not just allowing teams to just roll right through you. But, you know, like Chris Sims said, like one Nez said here in the chat, like, it's a dated defense. I mean, offenses have figured us out, and there's just nothing that I'm seeing as far as making adjustments and putting a modern defense out there to stop these offenses that are being very creative in today's NFL.
And it's been for years like this. This isn't, I mean, this isn't anything new. We're watching the same film we watched last year. And we saw how disastrous that was.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to 2016, which was a kind of a mirage. I mean, yeah, they finished 6th in pass defense that year, which is amazing. But it was a mirage because they got lucky bounces off of turnovers. They had pressure with sacks, you know. So it was just a combination of things. They couldn't really stop the run. I think they were 26 in run defense. And then, you know, 2017, you know, we saw the real defense. The bottom fell out. They figured out the trends, and offenses just had their way with us. And now the same thing's happening this year, and it's even getting worse because you have a rookie secondary that is just making it, you know, it's compounding on top of each other.
Yeah. And what gets me is all the, you know, in the past 3 years, 4 years, all the 40-point and 30 high 30-point games, 30-point games that the Bucs have given up. They've just given up on, you know, and so defensively, they just haven't been there, and they haven't gotten better. They haven't improved. They bring in different players, and you may fire what's the most they've done? They fired a defensive line coach. Big deal.
Right. Yeah.
That's all they've done. They haven't done anything to improve this. And as you mentioned, with this dated type of defense, you have to be able to make changes. And they have the personnel to do that kind of stuff. There is no reason this defense should be as bad as they are. And, you know, that's just, again, that comes back to execution, and that comes back to buying into this defense. And I just, you know, you kind of saw it in the beginning, but as the games have progressed, this team, the defensively, has seriously regressed. And as far as the play calling goes, the play calling was just basic. It was real basic last week. And basic and predictable. So, you know, that's kind of what we were looking for, or what we were seeing, I guess you'd say. So so we have a bye this week, and you know, I wanted to kind of go back, and we've had 4 games to base our opinions on. And when you look at all 4 games, the Saints, the Eagles, Steelers, the Bears, when you look at all these games collectively, do you see a positive? Is there anything positive you can take from this, that this team could potentially win games down the road or get better, or, you know, something good can come of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think your starting defensive line and offensive line, there's some positives there. Now, the one move I would like to see made on the offensive line is put Evan Smith as the starting right guard. If you're going to be a pass first team, then you need to have your better pass blocker in there as far as right guard, because Beninock, he's just a liability in pass protection. If you're not going to be running the football successfully or efficiently, then you need to have Evan Smith in there, because he can't be any worse as far as run blocking or pass protection. So that is something I would like to see. But I think offensively, obviously, that's where our strengths is. I think we have the playmakers to be successful. That's the most healthiest unit. They haven't been injured all year. That is a unit that should put up points. This is a team that should average 28 points per game because they have the skill set to do so. Now, again, that's going to come down to game plan and coaching and execution as far as the game plan goes. But you have to be diverse in what you're calling, as far as you just can't go deep every time and try to get the explosive play. You have to mix it up and naturally build something where it just comes organically. And that's just something that we haven't seen consistently. They did it in spurts against the Saints and the Eagles, but it hasn't been a consistent thing yet for this team. They even did it, and the defensively, I've seen flashes where they showed things that says, "Hey, that's a positive. That is good." They showed it against Pittsburgh. They showed it against the Eagles. They didn't show anything against the Bears, but that's okay. We're not going to get there, or the Saints. But
we just got to throw that game away.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, there's positives here. Again, you're 2-2. You're one game out of first place. You have a big division game coming off the bye against a Falcons team that is struggling. They're 1-3, I believe. So I mean, they are struggling. They have some defensive liabilities. Still have a great offense, though. It looks like their offense is finding their rhythm. But yeah, I mean, there is hope. I mean, you have some winnable games coming up over this next, 4 or 5 games that can be definite wins for this team if they play smart and they have the right game plan. But that's the biggest question. I don't trust this coaching staff, and that's why I'm hoping this talent can overtake them and really just put it on their backs and find a way to win games.
Yeah. So now what you're looking at now, and I'm gonna kind of jump over to the offense a little bit. You have Jameis Winston back, and folks, whether you like him or you hate him, that's your quarterback. Okay. So I don't want to, you can talk about trading or whatever, but that's still your quarterback. And this is, it is what it is. That's your quarterback. I mean, you've got a healthy Mike Evans. Deshaun Jackson has been balling out of his mind. And this was the Deshaun Jackson we expected to see last year. But like I said, and you said, it was chemistry issues. There wasn't a lack of talent like people were talking about trading him in the offseason. There was none of that. When this guy came in, he's serious about his craft. He came in here. He worked out with Jameis Winston. He worked out with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And you see what you've got here. Here's a guy that at any moment can bust open that big play. Mike Evans is Mike Evans. Congratulations to him for the touchdowns that I think he's at 35 touchdowns. He's got the record here for the Bucs. So congratulations for that. Here's another guy. I know we're down a tight end with OJ Howard with the injury, but here you have a Cameron Brate, who's somebody that Jameis Winston is very comfortable with. I know a lot of people were asking, why haven't we seen Brate? And, like I said, it's just a matter of time. You will see him on the field. So these guys, they're going to get their plays. But like you said, you just don't know with this coaching staff what's going to happen. And guys, I'm serious, and I'm going on record saying this. I really believe that Dirk Cutter has a lot more to do with the play calling after that game with the Eagles than what we're being led to believe. And that's just, kind of where I'm at. Because it's easy to say, Ty Monken's calling the plays, but you see his thumbprint on this, the way this offense is kind of slowed down. So that's just my observation on it, and the plays that they're calling and the way that these plays are called and the times that some of these plays are called, and I'm like, geez, I've seen this pick before. And like I said, you'll hear me say that a lot, but if you look at these last two games and how some of these plays were called, and you kind of go back to last year, you can kind of form an opinion for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the chat they're saying Jameis needs to hit Deshaun and Mike, downfield. Well, he did that. I mean, he did that against the Bears. He hit Deshaun down the sideline. So and you can see that the timing and the chemistry is definitely there. And that's something that's going to continue to build as Jameis gets more reps, and especially against the Falcons secondary. So yeah, I like how they're using Deshaun. I would like to see him more in short yard routes and have him going across the field more east to west and get him on slants and stuff like that to use his, after the catch speed. That's something that they need to do, because you've seen it, against Chicago. He had that big play where he just caught a nice 15-yard in route and took it for 40 extra yards. So that's something that I would like to see more consistently, even with Mike Evans. I mean, they need to use him, more east and west, more slant routes for him, use that size that he has. Yeah, it's just a lot of things. We have to be better inside the red zone, more runs, more running the football inside the red zone. That's something that has to happen. So yeah, just a lot of things, a lot of combination of things have to be better at. And I think they can be, but again, is this team going to be accountable? And that starts with coaching and working your way down to each and every player in that team.
Yeah. I think the most frustrating thing for me is the talk. I'm sick of the talk. I don't care. I don't care that you have to do better. I want you to get out there on the field and do better. I don't care that, oh, this is my fault. I shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have done this. The whole team needs to be the whole staff needs to be fired. Everybody needs to be fired. Yeah, whatever. Just fix it. That's all I'm saying. Fix it. Again, it'll work itself out. Whoever's going to end up being the coach here, the general manager, the defensive coordinator, whatever, that'll all work itself out. But in the meantime, fix it. Do better than what you're doing. And that's all you can really ask for. Fans that travel to games, season ticket holders, everybody deserves better than what we're seeing right now. And it needs to get fixed. Because I'm telling you what, if this trend continues, you're looking at what, a 5-game losing streak last year? Bucs walked into after that 2-1 start. Yeah, that's what you could potentially be looking at right now is another run like that. If these guys can't wake up and say, you know what, we're not going to let this happen again. We got to get out here and fix this. That's what you're looking at right now, to be realistic. That's, just based on the trends that we've seen, they haven't been able to sustain winning streaks except for 2016. And that was like an outlier when you look at the overall body of work since this regime has been in place, going back to Lovie Smith with Jason Licht as a general manager up to the present time. That's just been the outlier, was that 2016 season.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I've said it, if this coaching staff can get out of their own way and, let this talent do what it needs to do, and that's play to their strengths and let them be who they are, then I think this team, it can be very good and win games. I think they have the potential to win 9 to 10 games. If everything plays how it should be played, then they can definitely do that. But the way this coaching staff is handling this team, it's not good signs. I mean, there's a lot of negatives as far as what they're doing out there, asking for these guys to, do multiple things when they're just not capable of doing said things. Like they're trying to fit, square pegs in round holes, and you just can't do that for this team. And the way that their talent is collected right now, I mean, you just got to go out there and let them do what they can do to the best of their ability, instead of trying to hold them back and just run what you're asking them to run. Hey, we're going to run my scheme no matter what, and that's it. I mean, instead, how about you adapt a little bit and be a little more creative? But no, that's too hard.
Yeah, and play to your, if you have injuries, you have to play to those replacement players' strengths. And that's what you should be doing. But again, it just doesn't happen like that. So I really don't know what to say. You know, I'm trying to be as positive about this as you can, but
Mhm.
just looking at the trends and looking what you're up against now, uh, it's gonna be interesting this second half of the season to see how they rebound from those two losses. They can turn this around really very easily. They
Yeah.
can turn this around. I mean, even with the blocking, I mean, you fix the blocking and open up some holes for your running game, and they've abandoned the run.
Yeah.
Have they haven't had more than what 18 attempts. I went back, I think I looked at some of the games. They haven't more than had more than like 18 attempts for a running back. So these running backs aren't able to get warmed up to even do anything. And I know with Peyton Barber, he's one of those guys you have to feed him the ball. And when
Mhm.
you're feeding him the ball, that's when he's the most successful. But
Right.
when you have him in spurts, and then you have these plays that are set up poorly, he's not gonna succeed. Ronald
Mhm.
Jones hands the ball off to Ronald Jones, and he's hitting the backfield before he can even move forward. I mean, just stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I do not know. That's why I'm just a loudmouth with a podcast, and I'm not a head coach. That's I'm good. I'm good right where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I thought Ronald Jones looked pretty good. I thought he ran hard. He was one of the brighter spots, in that game. But yeah, I mean, it's just collectively they're gonna have to be better. I mean, even like we didn't even talk about like the offensive line miscommunication that was going on. There was a lot of that. I mean, guys, not seeing eye to eye on like blitz pickups and stuff like that. So there was like, I mean, there was just miscommunication like all over the place. It just didn't look like these guys from snap one, like they were on the same page. Like, hey, we got a game today. Let's, are we going to play or not? But obviously they choose not to play. But, but yeah, I mean, it just like I was telling my friend Mark, I was like, we just don't look like we give a shit today. It's like we're just gonna let them run all over us. So that's
Yeah,
what happened.
that
Yeah.
reminds me of the Atlanta Falcons game. That's what I was saying.
Hmm.
When your defense looks lost, they shouldn't ever look lost.
Right.
You've got OTAs, you've got mini camp, you've got training camp, you've got preseason. You've got a lot of time to figure things out to where you don't look lost. There is no
Hmm.
reason for your defense to look lost. Period.
Yeah.
If you have a couple of players that are out of position, I understand that where you have injuries and you have somebody you're rotating in.
Hmm.
However, when you have guys that have been on this team for multiple seasons and they look lost, I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's why I would throw my clipboard in the air right there, man, because I don't know what I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. And you look at like in the chat, they bring up Ali Marpet like getting beat a lot. Well, he's learning a new position once again. Like he is not a left guard. He should have stayed at right guard. Like
Yeah,
that's another thing that pisses me off about this staff. Like they pretty much ruined Noah Spence. They've messed with Ali Marpet. Like he should have stayed at right guard his whole career. And now he's all jumbled up and like really not playing up to his potential. So it's like it's just frustrating. It's Yeah, it's frustrating to see these guys like even Will Golston, like he's messed up now, even though he's okay at defensive tackle. Vernon Hargraves was misutilized. So just a lot of guys that um, they've kind of messed up with their heads. Like even the whole Keith Tanny situation, like Keith Tanny should have been a starter. Like after the 2016 season that he had, like why
terrible.
would you mess yeah, why would you mess that up? Same thing with like Ryan Smith. Like Ryan Smith plays his best game against the Eagles, and then he doesn't start the next week. You go with a Brent Grimes that is rusty and doesn't look like he wants to be out there anyway.
He doesn't look.
And like, yeah, like he doesn't care. So I mean, I don't know. It's not a good situation. I'm hoping it changes. I hope like during these next couple of days they have like a come to Jesus meeting and they just figure everything out, and everything will be roses from here on out. But I don't know, it just doesn't look good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just, looking at the 4 games, like I said, the first 2 games were very positive. The defense, the run, they were doing better against the run, which I was good with that, which to
Yeah.
me was important, especially last season. The whole defense as a whole was a liability.
Well,
Where
that's the thing, Gene. Like that is what Mike Smith is all about. He's all about stopping the run. But the problem with that is like that is a 2002 philosophy. This is a passing league. If you don't know how to stop the pass, then you are going to be in trouble. You have to find ways to put everything at the quarterback and make him rush his decisions, or you have to be able to disrupt timing. The Bucs do neither of those very well, and that's why they're dead last in pass defense.
yeah, perfect sense right there. And again, do we know why? Does anybody know why he doesn't like the press, man press, or do we? Is there any? Because this
I,
play, I hate playing off.
yeah,
I've never liked it. I think Shiano's defense was like that too, where they played off the ball a lot too,
mhm,
and they were always getting cooked. They were getting cooked on slant routes all the time.
right,
So, it's like, geez, look at the game film from your predecessor to get an idea that doesn't work. It's not gonna work. I mean,
mhm,
don't think that you're smarter than everybody else and you're gonna come in here, run the same thing, and it's gonna be better just because it's you. It's
yeah.
just not the case.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's the problem. And that's another thing I wasn't too happy about when they re-signed Brent Grimes, because like they have to cater to him because of his size and his ability not to play press. Brent Grimes is why they play a lot of off coverage, because that's what he does well. Now, the last couple games they have been playing, yeah, they have been playing more press coverage, which is good. You see it from the rookies; they're playing press, but yeah, I mean, they just have to play an odd front defense because of Brent Grimes and his ability to not play press. So he has to play back a little bit. Um, and then you have your safeties, you have your one safety come down in the box, and you have your safety, 20 yards back, which I don't know why they did that in this last game. They had Isaiah Johnson, like not even in the screen. So,
They had him up
um,
in the stand somewhere getting popcorn or something. That was
yeah, I mean, that's what it looked like during the game. I mean, he was everywhere. So, um, but yeah, it just wasn't good. I mean, I
yeah.
hope they have a plan, but
Yeah, I'm gonna jump through here. I'm gonna jump through here. The chat. And again, thank you everybody. Ninja Hyper's really in here, uh, putting some. He's in here in the chat. TC Baby, what's going on? Eric Moreno, Mark Goodman, Lane Johnston, Buccaneer Bruce. Everybody, thank you once again. Just kind of looking through here. Julio Jones. Okay, there it was. 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what it was. When Julio torched the Bucs, and they did not make any adjustments. I'm still mad about that.
yeah,
I'm like I hate EJ Biggers, but that game right there, I wanted to punch somebody when I was watching that game. That game was awful, and it's just crazy. Let's see. Mark Goodman said Trubisky is awful against the blitz, and a blitz once in the first half.
yeah,
Well, there you go.
yeah,
So,
that shows
again,
it.
and they're lucky they pulled him. Because I think he probably would have had more touchdowns. So there's always that. Amazement 717. What's going on? Let's see here. No, field. Yeah, so everybody, we're all pretty much on the same page. A lot of the people that are in the chat, we're all on the same page. Everybody's frustrated with this. I mean, it's
Yeah.
been going on for years, and something needs to change. Really, it really does.
Hmm.
Uh, we'll definitely be talking more about the Atlanta Falcons, but I just kind of want to get your opinion. Do you? Oh, well, hold on one second here, Rob G. Do you think Le'Veon Bell would have helped? They were asking for a second rounder. Rob, I think I touched on this last week. With Le'Veon Bell, he's out because he wants money.
Hmm.
And when I look at the Tampa Bay Bucks cap room right now, with all the people they're trying to sign, I just don't see that as a viable option to try to bring him in and sign him to a max contract. I don't think it would be feasible to do everything and make it work. So I don't know. Again, and guys, just keep in mind he's holding out for money. He's not going to come to Tampa and start playing because he got traded to Tampa. This is totally financial. This is about securing his legacy for a period of time. We saw what happened to the safety for the Seahawks, who was originally holding out, but decided to be a team player and come back, and he's injured. And I can guarantee you he's not going to get anywhere near the money he could have gotten had he signed a max contract somewhere.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He'll be on the Bucs next year.
I'm thinking he'll be in Los Angeles. Gruden will get him, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me jump through here real quick. Let's see. Ninja Hyper says we're going to cut Djax next season.
Possible.
It's definitely possible. Again, he's done a lot. I mean, the guy he's played lights out this year, and he's done everything that the offense has asked him to do and then some. And I like what he's doing within the Tampa community. I'm a community guy. I believe that you are your brother's keeper, and you get the best if you're out there helping other people. So, shout out to him. And, he's another wide receiver like Vincent Jackson was when he was here, heavily in the community, heavy with the military. And again, when you give of yourself, that all comes back. So why would you cut Djax? It makes no sense. Again, I just it would be hard to see him coming back unless he possibly restructured. I could see that. But when you got a Chris Godwin, you've got Mike Evans. I guess, you just never know. It could happen, but I think right now, the way the salary cap is with the people that they need to re-sign, I'm not sure how that would work out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The main thing is, I mean, I just want this team to win. That's all I care about. So
yeah, it's all about wins, folks. Wins and losses. I mean, that 5-win season pissed me off so bad that it's time that all the talk is over, all the excuses are gone. This team has to start winning. That's what needs to happen.
We're just frustrated to keep seeing these blowout losses that just shouldn't happen. Like, you don't see that around the league. Like, good teams just don't get blown out, like that, year after year. Yeah. Year after year, this has happened for this coaching regime. Like, this it just can't happen. Like, these are things that just don't happen, and they just continue to allow it to occur. And it's frustrating.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It really is. I mean, just if you look at this, let's go back to 2015. We go back to 2015 here.
Go back, or 2016.
Yeah, look at this. They lose to the Titans. Titans put up 42 points. Panthers put up 37 points. Redskins put up 31. Giants put up 32. And let's see. So I guess that wasn't that bad. The Rams put up 31 and the Panthers put up 38. And that was 2016. That's just, that's crazy. And then we go to 2016. And then you've got the Cardinals put up 40. The Rams put up 37. Broncos put up the Broncos put up 27 in that game. The Falcons put up 43. Raiders put up 30. I mean, this is just crazy. You know what I'm saying? And the Saints put up 31. I mean, that was 2016. That was the season that that was better than previous seasons.
Yeah, but it was a mirage, though. I mean, you look at our wins. We had, we won the turnover battle. Offense, played okay, decently. And we got some bounces. I mean, we faced against lesser opponents. There was injuries that played a part. and we got wins. I mean, it wasn't anything where we were dominating the other team or, this or that. We
That's
lucked into some
just
wins, and yeah, I mean, and then you go into the next year when you have some expectations. Granted, they were false, but and then you just fall, flat on your faces, 5-11, and now this season, your defense is looking no better despite the talent upgrades that you've made. It's just not a good sign. It just either it's going to get worse or they're going to find a way to find a middle ground and they're going to go 8-8 at best. I mean, that's just how I see it. But
that's still just not acceptable, though.
oh
Uh,
yeah, absolutely, and it's going to lead to firings.
it reminds me of Jeff Fisher,
Yeah.
because all this time Jeff Fisher had this mirage of that he was a good coach in St. Louis and in Los Angeles, and he was the reason the team was being held back. I'm
Oh
convinced.
yeah. Yeah.
And we there's just the way this team is playing right now, and they're undefeated. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy how when people overlook how important coaching is, on all in all facets, and then you see an example like this with the Rams. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know right there. That's the example that you would really look at. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, the Rams are. I mean, with Sean McVay, I mean that guy is so far ahead of what he's doing right now. I mean, he is like leaps and bounds ahead of all the coaches in this league. Like he is on top of everything. The things that he did against Minnesota last week was like night and day. That is how you run an offense. That is how you design plays. That's how you attack mismatches. And then defensively, yeah, they struggle a little bit. That's to be expected because they had one of their corners out. I think they had a couple other injuries. But yeah, I mean, that team is on top of it as far as execution, game plan, knowing how to utilize your strengths, knowing how to get your guys on one-on-one matchups against the other team's weakest defender and just consistently attacking it. I mean, to get Cooper Kupp against Anthony Barr twice, and it's a touchdown for 6. I mean, that's impressive. That is called being a coach and understanding how to utilize what you have in your basket. That's
And
taking advantage of personnel.
adjustments. That's the thing. That's
Yeah.
Belichick's not afraid to make adjustments, and
Mhm.
he's a super villain of the NFL, but that guy
Yeah,
will.
and you look at the Patriots, they just killed the Dolphins who were 3-0. I mean, that just shows you like coaching at its finest. Like, yeah, they were struggling, but they found ways to overcome that and they took advantage and just dominated their opponent. I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's kind of what I'm seeing. And you know what? It's really sad, especially for the fans. A lot of the moves that have been made by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers since John Gruden left have been reactionary. They haven't been well thought out. When you look at Raheem Morris was looking to go to another team, and they signed him. They signed him as the head coach. Uh,
Mhm.
Greg Schiano was a reaction because Chip Kelly didn't end up coming to Tampa. The whole deal with Lovie Smith was nostalgia,
Yeah.
So these moves have not been well thought out. Dirk Cutter was a hot coach or a hot coordinator who could have potentially gone to another team, and
Mhm.
so he was signed. And
Yeah.
again, it's just been reactionary. It's not been anything that's really been thought out. I mean, when you think about a guy like a Bruce Arians, I believe during one of these tenures, Bruce Arians might have been available or something to where the Bucs could have possibly looked at him. But
Mhm.
again, there are a lot of coaches out there that could have potentially ended up here. Again, it's all in the past. But all I'm saying is, if you're looking at the moves the Bucs have been making, they haven't been well thought out. They've been reactionary. They've not been well. I'm not looking at the long game here, but that's just pretty much what it is. So, uh, and again, those are the facts, and you can read up on this. I'm not just saying this to be saying it. This is true. This is just how they've gone about business. So, what they do is what they do.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I'll just leave it at this. I mean, Dirk Cutter was an offensive coordinator for a long time, and there was a reason for that. And then the same thing for Mike Smith. Mike Smith was fired for a reason. He was fired from Atlanta because they saw what was occurring. They saw what is going on in Tampa Bay right now. And it's the same problem. We're pretty much repeating the past of what the Atlanta Falcons did. And, they got rid of those guys. And that's a big issue. I mean, that just shows you right there. It's just, and the sad thing is, Jason Light is probably going to take the fall for this, and he shouldn't, because what he's done is he's gotten groceries for these coaches as far as personnel to what they wanted. Like, he's done what this coaching staff's wanted as far as from a player standpoint, and got them the pieces that could help this scheme work. And for whatever reason, they just haven't been coached right because of poor coaching or this and that, poor staff, you name it. And it's unfortunate that Light is going to take the fall because he is a good general manager.
Yeah. But again, that's the NFL, man. I mean,
yeah.
And I guess the next question is, who do they bring in? I mean, better the devil you know than the devil you don't know. I'm worried. I would be worried because after seeing what, Mark Dominic come in here, and you had Bruce Allen, and,
Yeah.
you don't know who you're getting, it's kind of hard to say. So I don't know. That this is really interesting to see how this is going to go. It's really interesting that Robinson is doing a great job in Tennessee with, a lot of moves that he's made and
Right.
that he's put in place. So, I mean, it's a lot of stuff to look at. I'm not going to point fingers. I'm just stating the obvious here. So, I don't know. Well, again, a lot of football still to be played. So, can't give up hope. We're at the bye week. Let's hope they can make some adjustments and bounce back off of this. Wow. We've already been on here an hour. That's crazy. Let me get your final thoughts here before we roll up out of here.
Final thoughts. I mean, just enjoy the weekend. That's all I can say. Get away from football a little bit. Don't, try to get over this loss. I know it's it took me a few days. So, yeah, I'm just going to have fun this weekend and try to enjoy the rest of the season. I mean, that's all we can do. I'm still going to support this team. I mean, I know, like all of you guys, we're going to support this team no matter what. We just want to see them have success. And that's pretty much it. If you want to follow me on Twitter, at Real Bucs Talk, we'll probably put some game tape up of the Falcons, coming up within the next couple of days and try to break them down. And that's pretty much all I have. But yeah, just enjoy it.
Yeah, for me, I'm a fan. Just like Pless was saying, I'm a fan. Have been a fan. It's just frustrating when the team loses, and the team loses the way they lost. And you see all the talent on this team. You see the potential of what they can do if they're put in the right position to succeed. I guess for me, I'll just continue to watch football. I hate the offseason. You heard me griping about the offseason. If you've been following Buck What You Heard, you've heard me and Pless both gripe about the offseason, ready for football, and it's here. And it's hard to believe that we're already into what is it, week 5 already. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But
October.
Again, we've seen what this team can do at times, and we've seen other things that this team can do. So just kind of have to stay tuned and hang in there, and just kind of hope for the best. And you really hope that this team comes together. They work on the communication issues. They get cohesive, and they try to finish out strong. So I guess that's kind of where we are right now. I'm looking forward to college football on Saturday. And again, I'll be watching all the games on Sunday. The Tampa Bay Lightning are in effect, it looks like. We're getting ready for basketball season, so a lot of stuff going on. And folks, I appreciate everybody that was in the chat. TB Bucks fan, I'm sorry I didn't get to shout you out. Clutch Sports and Gaming, thank you for checking us out. You're always appreciated, and I appreciate your comments. Again, I will be doing more. Oh, go Magic. I got to meet Mo Bamba at the Summer League this year in Las Vegas. And that kid is amazing. He is you guys have something special in with the Magic with Mo Bamba. He's a class act, great with fans. And I think you're really going to appreciate him for years to come. But I just kind of getting back to football. I'm gonna go ahead and jump out of here. We really, again, all you can do is just hope that this team improves, and that's all we can really do right now. So that's pretty much it for me. And Michael Pless has his podcast, so please check out his podcast, Real Bucs Talk, where you get some real Bucs talk, and you listen to that. You can go and impress your friends and act like you know what you're talking about. Go and check them out. Make sure you do that. But anyway, that's pretty much it for us and everybody in the chat. You guys have a great evening.
They're gonna catch another ship, yeah. And it's like a lotus, so it's time to flip the script, yeah.